official? With the countdown where you like, all right.
I'm like, oh,
no,
I'm like,
pressure.
don't open my mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't open your mouth. Don't be that guy.
What is it about the countdown that freezes everybody?
It is too official. That's the problem. It's like, like I thought we were just talking. Like this whole sell yourself and your book and all that.
You said this was going to be cool. Now I'm on stage. It's like getting kicked out in front of people. Right?
Oh, 100%. You're just like dance monkey. And it's just.
Man, that's what I have between my ears. But he has the cymbals. Like, clank, 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 clank. Well, my wife is looking at me, telling me like all this stuff. And she's like, I'm in cymbal monkey land. And she's.
I'm long gone.
Yeah, I'm way up. I have ADHD. I'm like, you can't take me through the forest to get me to the store on the other side. Just say there was a forest when we're done. Like, I need to get to, let's get it. Yeah, exactly. Like, I need you to get me there. I don't need to know how much gas was that day when you drove by it. I don't need to know none of these things, who you were on the phone with, none of that stuff. That's the worst thing you can do to a person with ADHD is start filling in too many details on the way there. We already know them. Our minds are super predictive, right? And we're going to be talking today about intuition. We have Jennifer Johnson here today. She's an ER nurse with 16 years of experience in both large and small hospitals. Advocate for intuition to help patients. She's gone through all the challenges in nursing, from the pandemic to bullying and burnout, which I believe is the proper term is compassion fatigue, right? That's a huge one in there. As well as the other types of burnout. Yeah, there are a couple of different types of burnout in there.
There's a rainbow of burnout.
There is a rainbow of burnout. Dude, that sounds like a place you go to smoke the best weed.
Yeah.
Like the rainbow burnout.
Rainbow burnout.
Oh, is that the new Burning Man? The rainbow burnout could be for our LGBTQ people. Right there. Right? They should have they should do
it. They're tired of the bullshit.
Right?
Tired.
All right. So, Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Living the dream. Absolutely living the dream.
Lies.
It's a great day to be on this side of the dirt. Right?
True story.
Like my benchmark is pretty low now. Like, what is it? Right. I'm here. Like, if I get here, everybody should be excited, right? Well, no, that sounds narcissistic.
I'm here. I'm doing the things.
Yeah, I'm playing the game.
100% playing the game.
Mm-hmm. The world. What is it? The world is a stage.
Yeah, all the world
is a stage. Correct. If people only understood the depth and magnitude of that statement.
How many players do you play?
How many masks are in your sack?
How many are you taking on and off in an instant?
How many are you wearing at the same time?
Yes, very much so.
Right?
Functional adult, nurse, compassionate. Mm-hmm. I wear those masks sometimes.
Right? So imagine a world where those are surgical masks, right? And you have to wear them in order to stand there and be a nurse in this current societal situation, right? Every one of those masks, the personalities that we have to use to navigate society to be someone in those environments. If you had to wear one for all of those, how hard would it be to do your job? You would feel suffocated.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So metaphorically, when we wear those masks, we suffocate the true person inside that is attempting to give help to others.
Oh, I like this. I really like where this is going.
Let's do this. Tell us where you're from. Tell us how you came to becoming an author, and let's just go from there.
Yeah. So I'm Jen Johnson, lovingly referred to as nurse.
I've been the one yelling that, by the way.
Like what? What do you want?
Let me just be clear. I've had a lot of kidney stones. So,
you're that guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you know all the nurses by name.
Yes.
And you bring us coffee.
Yes.
Yes, there you go.
You bypass go when you get there because like, yeah, they've got them.
Yeah. You're on the floor, curled up into a ball. We're like, oh, that looks.
It's the worst.
Looks bad.
Right.
Bad.
So
my husband's a producer, like a Kitty Stone producer as well. So I feel yeah.
It's the worst. But you see much more than that. That's just one small piece of what is one of the largest stained glass windows you could ever look at. No two pieces the same, no matter how many times you think they are. They're absolutely not.
Yep.
So tell us, how did you become a nurse?
So I'll go back. I'm in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm your token Canadian.
We love Canadians.
Listen, we try. We try so hard.
You guys are so chill. Like, we need more chill. Like, that's what I want. Like, you guys need to ride and break the American horse like you're on top of us, right? And get us to just start trotting like you guys and not be jumping all over the place. I just made you guys like a cowboy.
So they call me the cowboy in the ER because I kind of tend to go on my own tangent sometimes. There you go.
Love
Intuition. But I mean, do you need us to come back down and burn the White House down again? Because we've done that once.
No. What? Is this like a true historical fact that I don't know about? You seem like the person that knows this, and I'm not even going to call BS. You're about to tell me there was a time that when, not obviously in the last 100 years.
100 years. So I'm going to get it wrong. I want to say 1883. You guys come up through like Niagara Falls area. We pushed you all the way back past where the White House was. I don't know if it's in the same spot, but where it was originally. And we burned her to the ground.
No kidding. How do I not know this?
Why would they tell the Americans this?
They don't want the Americans to know this. I had a friend of mine point out to me that all pictures in our textbooks that were about racial segregation were in black and white, even though color existed. That bothered the fuck out of me, because that means that what? You're trying to distance yourself from one thing, but not the other.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. I don't even know if that's like on purpose, right? Because there's so many ways that even someone that's sat in that chair that wants to have the best intentions and says, hey, look, that should not be a part of who we are now. Maybe that's what happened. Yeah. But I didn't like that. I was like, why are we not showing these pictures in color?
Can I play devil's advocate and say maybe it was just a cost-saving measure? Color's expensive.
Black and white film was cheaper? Maybe?
What?
Black and white film was cheaper?
Well, but even printing in the textbooks, right? Like a lot of the textbooks weren't color because it's very, and so knowing as an author to print in color is hella expensive. And so to put out X number of textbooks and and if they're going into public schools kind of thing. Right.
I mean, in general, the pictures throughout history, for some reason, those tend to be in black and white. And I didn't like that. I don't like somebody giving me suggestions of how to perceive time and how things have occurred over time. Does that make sense?
100%, because I don't like it when people try to tell me how to do my job with their Google search. Please don't do this. Please don't do this.
So that's a huge, huge question and scenario there, because I can see both sides of that. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole at the moment, because I want to give you the proper platform to discuss what it is that you're bringing to the table today to discuss.
Fair. And I appreciate it. I do enjoy the rabbit holes.
I do too.
Also, undiagnosed ADHD, because heaven forbid a female be able to get an ADHD diagnosis. It's just anxiety.
Yeah. It's that time.
Yeah. It's that time.
Oh God, dude, the worst.
Yeah. It's been 16 years of the ER. I've been all over Ontario, from an ER the size where there was only one registered nurse to run the ER to, a trauma center kind of thing. I've been all over, and just getting started. I ended up originally in biology. I was going for a biology degree, and the second year, I failed the organic chemistry course. It was a 2-part course that was a year long. And for some reason or another, I couldn't wrap my brain around organic chemistry. And so failing the first half, I'm like, okay, I'm a year behind now. I'm totally screwed. What am I going to do? And I'm like, well, is this even really what I want to do? Because like, this is not interesting. I'm not having fun. This is not good. So a buddy of mine was already in nursing. We would pore over her textbooks and like the Mosby's dictionary that's got the full color pictures of like all the diseases and all of the.
I remember those, man. Like some of the pages were interlaced with pages where it's like you were looking at layers of a human body. Is that what we're talking about?
I think so, yeah.
It's almost like an MRI in a book.
Yeah, super cool. Like just, it was so interesting. So I'm like, okay, let me swap into nursing. We'll do that. Got started in my first job in just this very small ER and, hated it only because I was horrifically bullied for the 5 years there. But, I had met my husband just as I was graduating nursing. He was already a paramedic supervisor. So he already had a house and he was established. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like walking into this. This is great. And so,
look at me. I'm a puzzle piece.
Look at me go. I'm a Delta.
Yeah.
And so they, the town, because the Canadian government had deemed that it was underserviced in nurses, for every year that I did full-time work, I got 1 year's tuition back. So it was a win-win. He was already living in this very small town. I was already going to be working in this very small town. I'm like, well, this is just fantastic. Little did I know it would cost me every ounce of my sanity for the first 5 years. But got out of that, moved down south closer to my family, and started in a stroke center that was just, that ER was by far some of the best times I've ever had. And so much fun. And everybody was so warped, but so good. There was no bullying. It was just a dream. So I'm like, okay, this is much, much better. So, all of a sudden having to adjust from seeing sometimes not one person would come into the ER on a night shift to 80 to 100 people in like 24 hours. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, I gotta do this. And because I've already had ER training, they would just put me right up to triage. So I'm like, okay, seeing person after person after person after person, you're like, oh my God, like what is happening?
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Oh, you're just like,
that's a lot, man. 0 to 100. You're going to from 3 patients a week to 300 in a day. That's not good. Somebody should have recognized that. There's a leadership fail there for not knowing the staff. You don't put somebody, no matter what ER ER doesn't mean all ERs. You take into consideration that this person used to get 3 a week.
Yes. And would sit around routinely for 12 hours and watch,
everything.
DVDs of ER and then do like certificates on the side just to like do something.
You were watching ER in the ER.
Oh, and I'd never seen ER before that. So it was just.
Is that like one of those Inception things?
We've telescoped in.
Like living vicariously through that dude with glasses that, I feel like I remember. Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't George Clooney on that or something too?
Yes.
Okay.
George Clooney, the Hulk, not Mark Ruffalo, one before that.
Ed Norton?
Ed Norton was on that.
Actor.
Oh, like just a lot of stellar, very early career people. So, just trying to like, what am I potentially expecting? Because I'd never even thought about working the ER.
I worked mids as a military police officer. I'm with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm totally understand this situation. Like, I've listened to more talk radio before talk radio was a thing, before podcasting. This is just because it was like 2 a.m. and I want to hear Paul Harvey stand by for news, or whatever. I'm just saying that's the rest of the story or whatever it was, every night. God. Like, that's it got me through it because I was just like, like, you only listen to music so long before you just want to punch yourself in the ears.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
Could you do that hard? I bet you could really F yourself up. Ears are pretty soft.
If you perforate an eardrum, like just with pressure alone, that could be interesting.
Like hitting the ear meat.
Oh, so, well, rugby.
Oh, yeah,
Those
you know,
guys
with
who
some
get
cauliflower
down
ear quick.
Cauliflower ear.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, answer my own question, didn't I? All
There
right.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Meanwhile, back on the farm. So
Meanwhile,
you're watching the
so,
ER
yeah,
and
so
just soaking
working
up somebody
ER,
else's
just,
money and not
yes,
getting your certificates while you're there. Good for you. I support
100%.
all of this.
Right, getting reimbursed for doing the certificates by Registered Nurses Association of Ontario. So like it all worked out. It was fantastic. And so when we moved down south and all of a sudden, you know, seeing all these people, you know, to keep yourself kind of engaged, you'd have to like do something because, you know, it's either the same story and it's the same symptom that day because every day there's always a theme to the day and every day it changes. So it's like, oh, is it abdo pain day? Is it broken leg day? Is it stroke day? Like, what are we playing today? And so sitting at the triage booth and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to like do something because I'm getting bored and like, that's not really working for keeping active enough where you're paying attention to what's going on with these people. And so was just started playing the game of like just trying to guess what people were coming in with. And so I'd sit there and, you know, if somebody's holding their chest, you know, it's a little bit of a dead giveaway. But
missing a leg.
they're just off on the screen.
Like Johnny Carson or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Just, you know, are they breathing? Ah, crap. There we go.
Yeah, right. No, that one's in a bag. Like, I guess I can call that one. I have a dark sense of humor. But I think most medical people have dark sense of humor, especially ER nurses.
We are fucked.
That's with a KT. We're
like, we're gone. Absolutely done. So like the number of times we all say in a day, like, oh, you know, we're going to go to hell. And it's like somebody pipes up, well, we're going to be driving the bus, but don't worry about it because hell's going to have great healthcare.
I'll be there selling ice water for you. Like, woo! I'll be right there with you. Like,
we're also wondering if working the ER counts as time served. We're not
like there. A pre-purgatory? Purgatory?
Pre-purgatory.
Yeah. It's possible. Or maybe this is. Now we're getting into a whole nother layer.
Another tangent.
Right. Exactly. So
going back, just, you know, trying to start guessing about what was going on with people and starting to see what sick, not sick, really sick looked like. And, you know, you get these people that come in and the story's kind of blasé. The vitals are okay. But for some reason, like my gut's just going like, oh, this is not good. And I'm going like, oh, I wonder what that feeling is. But, you know, I had one professor in university who had happened to say one time, just trust your gut. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll go with it. And sure enough, more often than not, I was right that there was more to the story, that the person was sicker than they were presenting. And so it became ingrained to like, again, we're playing the game and we're trying to sort people out and who's going to be sick today and what's going on. And so with the ER up in Canada, we've got medical directives where we can start blood work, we can start some x-rays, some medications at triage.
Interesting. I like that. Is it under the supervision of like a physician's assistant or something along that?
Well, so it's usually the chief of the ER who like supervises over everything. You do your yearly education as to how people are supposed to fit into these medical directives. Do you go a little overboard sometimes? For sure. But it gets things started. So then people are feeling like they're being seen. By the time the doc sees them, they've already got blood work. Their pain's already a bit better managed. We already have some x-rays. Like we already have a lot going.
Why did I hire you if I didn't want you looking for worse or better? Or you're supposed to be able to make that determination ahead of time. Otherwise, why are you in the chair? Like, don't I want somebody who can be like, yo, this one's at this level. This one's at this level. Let's take this one now. Let's take this one later. Right? If I can't trust you to do that, then why the hell did I hire you to begin with? So you know that you've got to give a certain level of care before they get there. Otherwise, you're just neglecting a patient at that point.
If you've got the time and availability, right? So obviously. It all depends on how the rest of the department is. Are you fully staffed? Does the triage
I was in a perfect world.
In a perfect world, I'd be ordering head CTs. Come on. I know. There you go. Oh, I almost got a spit take.
Yeah,
Come on.
You were almost there because I'm like, man, I've had a lot of those. I've got a picture of me with that stupid like purple cap on that's got all the wires hanging out of it for TBI.
Yeah.
They were just like having a field day in there.
Just going with it.
Right.
So yeah, in a perfect world, I'd have all the autonomy, not just a lot of autonomy. So, I'd start ordering blood work just because I was curious. Okay, like, oh, this patient, they were on the floor for an unknown amount of time, not sure what's going on. We weren't sure if they were dizzy and fell, tripped and fell. We weren't sure if they lost consciousness. So you're coming at it from a bunch of different angles. And all I can think about, like, I would have a voice or like an idea that pops into my head to be like, you need a CK, so a creatine kinase, which is a muscle breakdown marker. And so with people who are on the floor for long periods of time, your muscles actually break down just without being able to move around. And so I'm like, okay, like, so the one, this lady comes in and we're kind of working her up and down, and okay, she fell at home, unknown, wasn't, the medics are telling us she was only on the floor for a few hours. But, my job, 90% of people lie to me, whether they're realizing it or not.
By
so
omission alone.
I don't take a lot of people at their word, only because there's always more to the story that either you're not knowingly bringing up or you are purposefully not bringing up. But I just assume there's always more to the story. So, I'm less likely to make errors and miss things if I just assume the worst and, always go with worst case scenario.
So
this lady,
there's a huge chance that, well, no matter what, there are things that I know about myself, and then there are things that I know about you, but there are things that you know about me that I don't know about myself.
Yeah.
Even though I think I know everything, there are things you know about me without my knowledge, right? Because that's what existence is, because you're the only holder of that knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and that's with anybody walking in the door. I think it's like called Johari's window. It's like a 4-part thing. If you look it up, actually, you'll like it. But it basically is an explanation, I think, of where it's what you know about yourself, what others know about you, what you don't know about yourself, and then but others know about you, and then what you don't know about yourself and other people don't know about you. Yeah. Like it's like a 4-part thing, but it makes sense when you're thinking about it. You're like, okay, I get it. It's kind of the theory that you have a limitless amount of personalities because
100%.
They exist in everybody else that you have come in contact with.
Yep.
They're the ones that hold that personality of you because it's how they took it through their lenses.
There are some random people who may think I'm a saint.
And some
I like those people. Oh, some can't stand me. And I'm just like, I don't know what I did to you, but clearly I hit a nerve. So see ya.
I firmly believe that people need a release valve and they just pick it. They sometimes it's randomly, sometimes it's, by design, but we're all walking tea kettles, right?
Oh,
and the whistles are actually the symptoms of us, having some greater issue deep down, but we relieve all those, all that pressure in individual moments rather than addressing what's causing the boiling underneath. Right. I like metaphors.
Well, and how often is it that people are coming in and tops blow off only because you're in pain, you're anxious, you don't know what's going on, you feel like this is an emergency, but it's not technically an emergency by my standards. You're frustrated, you're impatient, like all these things. And then you blow a lid and you wonder why the ER nurses are like completely unfazed when somebody starts yelling at them. And it's really because like, A, I don't know who's filming this. And then B, it's not worth my
just
own emotions to get worked up. Oh, everybody's got a camera.
I just assume it. Right?
But,
in fact, I'm more inclined to have an issue with somebody that doesn't want a camera there.
Yeah.
Are you requesting the ability to use my memory as something that you can contort? Right?
Yeah.
Because you certainly don't want fact on camera for this situation to be recalled.
But even still, sometimes they start recording after they've gone off on you.
Yeah.
And they missed that whole part. So all of a sudden I'm now reacting.
That's a horrible thing to do.
And now you seem super calm.
100%.
Like,
but that's everything we
sorry.
intake.
I know.
Couple cuts, and the entire definition of the situation changes. Right? We see it constantly. Constantly. I'm sure there's a few videos out there where, I'm not saying that there's a ton of Karens, but I bet there's like a Sarah and, a Beth and somebody else, a Jennifer, that are in a video out there losing their shit, but should have lost their shit. Had anybody else been in their shoes, they would have lost their shit. Right?
100%.
And they're a Karen alert, but really, this is a justifiable punch to the face you want to give somebody. But you only got recorded on the back end of that situation. So it's one of those things where if I'm figuring out somebody's recording me, you don't have my permission. You can't record me without my permission. Sorry, I'm at work. What am I coming to your work? That's a HIPAA situation anyway. You're protected under that scenario.
And then surrounded by all the other patients, right? So I'm like, there's no faster way to get a nurse's back up than to whip out a camera and start either taking pictures or filming. Like, you better believe we shut down immediately. We are going to have the least amount of interactions with you as possible without losing our license.
We're going to the T. I'm only showing up at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. because that is your scheduled scenario. I will not walk past this door any other time. You are going to get exactly what the book says you're required to get from this moment on. You want ice chips? You get them at 2 a.m. That's when I come back, right?
And instead of me bending the rules a little bit, like, you're actually not supposed to have anything by mouth, but it's going to be more than 8 hours to surgery at this point. I could let you have 1 or 2 ice cubes. Guess what? All that sway, all that.
No, you can't.
You want to zap my compassion.
No, it's not even that they're zapping your compassion. They're removing your ability to be empathetic. They're removing your ability to treat them based on the scenario. At this point, you are now placed in a box. It requires you to walk through a binder, right? With all the regulations at that point, like a soldier. You're not going to get somebody to bond with you next to the bedside and talk to you about what's going on. If you're going, I got you right here. Say that again. That's just not wise. All right. It's like pissing off your barber. Like, who does that? And then go back for a haircut.
You don't send back the food. I don't care how bad it is.
I'm flossing with your hair. No, I'm kidding.
Well, all I can, waiters? No. What was that movie with Ryan Reynolds? Waiting.
Holy crap.
100%. Never.
No.
Ever.
I'm stopping at McDonald's on the way home. We're good. I'm not eating that, and I'm not asking for it back. So we're good. I'm not even asking to get your money back because it probably wasn't your fault for whatever's in there. Unless I find like a fucking thumb, right? Then I'm mad because somebody back there doesn't have a thumb and nobody's reporting it. Unless it came out of a can of beans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just kind of chaos.
It looks like bacon mixed in your green beans. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Can't even.
But you've seen a million things.
I mean, it's really getting down to the thing where you finally see something new and you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that scenario.
Always something new, right?
Yes.
And that's why it's important to remain active in your screening of patients and aware of who they are, how they're presenting themselves, because no two patients are the same, no matter how much they look like it on paper, they're not. And the worst thing you can do is make assumptions based on external appearances and not on that bond that we have as humans, right?
Yeah.
We call it intuition. Right? There's a lot of ways to describe how this comes about because you brought up earlier that you're an undiagnosed neurodivergent, right?
Yep.
I think there's a certain amount of credibility to intuition in and of itself. I also think that people that are neurodivergent have an extremely high capacity for discernment in situations. That's why they make great paramedics, they make great nurses, they make great cops, right? Because they're only worried about now, right? And why are they only worried about now? A lot of times it's built up through probably some kind of traumatic upbringing, right? We see where people that microanalyze the scenarios that they live in as children will become lie detectors and predictors when they become older and they're in these situations. It does cause little bits of fractures in the mind that make you much more aware. You're getting lenses early, right? Discernment lenses at younger ages, even if they're macro, right? But you're going to hone them in a lot sooner than you are your adult counterparts that don't have that shatter. Right? By the time you get there, somebody could walk in looking this way to everybody else, but to you, he's twisting a mustache like he's tying somebody to train tracks, right? I did this my whole life. Like, why did we hire that person? I don't get it. Like, this person looks like, does anybody else see that he's a liar? Like, can everybody, like, he's selling a car right now. Come on. Who doesn't see this? And then it took a lot of self-evaluation and meditation to realize that no two people have the same set of lenses to perceive their surroundings. So it's not my fault. It's not their fault. Everybody just sees it different. It's kind of like, do you remember getting those like glasses that would be tinted red or green or blue? Not 3D, but they were in an individual color. Look at this. My camera's doing some wild shit right now. So that was weird.
It's because you put your hands up.
Yeah, go away.
Way to go.
Anyway, we're just going to have me focused in now, I guess. Or maybe it's this.
Because I'm going to look into the window of your soul.
I even forgot. I forgot where I even am now. Hang on a second. Let me fix this. Jesus Christ. I should leave this in.
This is amazing.
It's beyond amazing.
This is the greatest. There you go. Hey. You're still zoomed in.
I know. I'm getting there. Hold on.
There you go.
And now we're going to take this off of tracking. For whatever reason, it was on that. Like, we don't need any more. I don't need extra animation. I'm animated enough. I don't need the camera punctuating my arm movements like, an Italian woman yelling at her child.
Feel that in the soul?
My mother-in-law, we were discussing earlier, from Italy. So I've seen it firsthand. She's lived with us. So yeah, I don't need Obsbot. I love you. You're the greatest cameras out there for this kind of work. That said, I need to make sure that you are not tracking me when I'm doing things like this because, again, I am animated. So, where were we? I'm going to let you
pick. Great question. So, I think it was more just like, looking through the different lenses and picking up a little bit easier.
So, the glasses, that's what I was explaining. The
nuances of other people.
So those green, red, blue, whatever color lenses, you would have a document in front of you that would have only words that would appear when you had the correct colored lenses on. No two were the same, right? So I believe that is how we perceive reality, right? You get a color for an experience that allows you to only see that color going forward until you achieve another layer. You get a blue, you get a pink, you get an amber, you get a chartreuse, whatever, fuchsia, something else. I only know fuchsia because my prom date picked that for the color of her dress. And I was like, fuck, it's fuchsia, right? Like, I don't know what that is.
We're going to match the damn flower to the dress.
It's a hot pink. And I lived in a hillbilly town. So I had to go find a hot pink cummerbund or vest and a hot pink tie to go with my tuxedo. It was a situation. But that said, everybody gets lenses over time. So no two people can see the same, right? And the beauty of being a medical professional sitting in that chair is that you have the ability to repeat things. Repetition can create a much better ability to take in your surroundings and create those intuitive markers where you're like, this person may not know they're well, right? Or they may think that they're just having this, but I know that there's something deeper inside this because we don't allow the truth to come out in us. Like you were saying earlier, I don't believe you. I think it's because we unknowingly hold it back. Maybe in some instances because of a fear of death. If I don't catastrophize what I'm saying to them, it'll never be real, right?
Well, it's about managing expectations also, right? So, people always ask, I do an ECG and, oh, is it bad? I'm like, well, I'm not actually allowed to say anything. But do you see me running to grab my dog? They go, no. I said, okay. Do you see me looking horrifically upset and like worrying really badly?
I don't like that nurse.
They go, no. I'm like,
if that nurse does that.
So if I'm cool, you should be cool. Right? Right. So it's bringing people down. It's managing expectations. A lot of times people just, are scared and worried. And so when the first person they come into contact with, is very calm, cool, and collected, not making a big deal or latching on to some of the ideas that the patient's kind of throwing at you. Because some people, they're saying things, thinking that those are big buzzwords or something that's going to catch your attention.
SEO,
and in reality,
just like SEO. Like we are keyword humans, right?
Oh my God.
It is, isn't it? We've scanned through and it's SEO vomit, right? And you just do it in a manner like, because somebody read through every tab of Google by the time they spit that out, right?
Yes. So I mean, they're saying things and you're just like, yeah, okay. And you're just just chitty-chatting away, just typing away. And they're like, okay, well, am I fine? I'm like, well, you're here.
Fine?
I can't say legally one way or the other. I said, but thankfully, you're well enough to wait at this moment. So if you want to go see my registration clerk, she'll finish up the registration. We'll have you sit in the green chairs along the back wall. And just so you know, because, if they haven't already asked, they're always asking about wait times. It's like, well, and currently our wait time is roughly 3 to 4, 4 to 6 hours. Kind of thing. And they go, oh, well, I don't want to wait 6 hours. I'm like, well, that's up to you. I've already gone through this situation and this scenario. And they're like, well, I'm already feeling better. Bad. Yeah, and they kind of talk themselves out of it. Now, granted, if there is something that I'm worried about, I'm not letting them go very easily. Then I'm kind of going like, well, if you were my dad or you were my sister or you were my best friend, like I would want you to stay, maybe for you, we're going to see a little bit faster than some of the others. And then the others pipe up about like, well, I got here first. And it's like, well, it's not
how it works.
Not a deli counter, sir. It's not first come, first serve.
I just envisioned an ER where you can get cold cuts and triaged at the same time.
That would be fantastic. But what they gave us recently was an actual deli ticket thing for people so that they can be triaged, like so that we can keep track of who needs to be triaged. I'm like, well, routinely, most days you're getting maybe 1 or 2 people coming in at the same time. And I'm technically supposed to be going through a triage in like 5 minutes or less. Like this is just a very quick
look. Isn't it by urgency?
Vitals. What?
Isn't it supposed to be by urgency?
It is.
Yeah.
So again, if you can do the little ticket system all you like, but that's while you're waiting to get triaged, right? That's before we really know what's going on. But if somebody's sitting there, pale, sweating, kind of like breathing, not looking so well, you better believe I'm going to go, no, sir. Like you can, no. You up here.
Yeah.
And then people get uppity. I was here before them. And you're like, look it.
This guy's presenting with a GD heart attack. Can you get out of the way? Right?
Honestly.
Right.
I'm just like, no, and then I don't mind kind of being the cool, sassy ER nurse where it's just like, the number of times I've been called Nurse Ratchet. I'm like, man,
Nurse
that's
what?
A compliment.
Nurse Ratchet? Who is Nurse Ratchet? Who is that? Why do
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Why do I not? I was like, that's yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Nurse Ratchet. I'm like, and again, if you think you're going to hurt my feelings, you have not met many ER nurses. We keep them very veiled. If you crack through me to get feelings, you are very close to dying potentially, truly, because they are shielded up. They are put right back there because if I allow my emotions to rule me, I can't really do my job because everybody's story is sad. Everybody's got trauma. It's just a thing. So like, I can't get caught up in your trauma that isn't immediately affecting you physically right now.
I would like to point something out. The medical professional in that scenario needs to understand that despite the fact that they had not given into it in that moment does not mean that that person is not retaining it for future issues if not given the opportunity to be felt. Right?
Yes.
And this is a huge problem that plagues the medical community in not getting the ability to deconstruct, de-stress, seek proper mental health counseling, or just be given it, because saying you don't need it doesn't mean you don't need it, because no human is supposed to watch all the traumas of other humans without taking on some kind of trauma themselves, right? Maybe we start this out with a rotation. Maybe it's we recognize what we put medical professionals through, nurses, and we say, hey, look, maybe they work 3 months on, 3 months off with a mandatory counseling, and they're paid during those 3 months off. It's a salaried year, right? Maybe we make those understandings up front. Who gives a fuck what people say about people getting it better than me or whatever? I guess I want my medical professionals paid fucking well, right? I don't want somebody pissed, getting paid next to nothing, showing up there because they're going to give me minimum wage work. I don't want minimum wage stitches. I want fucking Harvard stitches, right? Let's get in here and do it right. But I'm just saying, I think it should happen for police, fire, emergency, all across the board. Nobody should be out there arresting people 365 days a year. What are you going to think of humanity, right? Never mind the fact that you might be working in one location, forming all sorts of implicit biases based on repetitive contact with certain people, because that's only people you would contact. Of course, you're going to end up getting some kind of skewed view, right? Yeah. But I'm an advocate for caring for our first responders and medical professionals because they hold such an important role. And that is, they absorb the pain of society. They're left there as a bandage and then tossed to the side after they're done like a Band-Aid in a fucking pool. Nobody gives them the opportunity to clean themselves out and be reused. They're expected to find time to get themselves sorted out in between dressings. That's not how it works. You need to be given time to go home and rinse, metaphorically, yoga, mental health. Imagine you given the opportunity to take that time off, how you could benefit yourself, knowing that you were supported in that structure to take that time, right? I think that we're at a crossroads as a society with the advent of artificial intelligence, right? We need to make a decision how we capitalize on this. Do we look for the money, or do we look for the opportunity to reset and balance these roles in healthcare? Think about it. All the money that's saved with artificial intelligence and the diagnostics alone, right? Because there's something to be said about analytics, right? It's very important, and it can be used not as the primary decision, but it can definitely be used as the reference tool to get you closest to the pin, right? Because it's able to analyze things much broader than you and I are capable of, right? But it also frees up compliance, legal issues over time, because you're not going to court over and over again if you've had an accurate set of diagnoses over how long a period of time, right? Yeah. And you're getting all this information live time. It's so fast now. But what does that free up the medical professional to do, right? To be a doctor a nurse, an empathizer, somebody that can treat someone with their heart, with their understanding, that can cry in the room with the patient and not have to take it home later. Because you know what? The patient needs you to cry with them in those scenarios too. It's not always, I got to be the chin, right? I got to take one for the team. I got to look a certain way for them. Sometimes people need to cry with someone, right?
Yep.
But you can't do that if you've got to run back to a desk and write up a fucking report and put together this and put together that. All the things that are going to be and are being replaced by AI. So the decision is, where's that money go? Where's that time go? Right?
Yeah.
The onus is on the medical community as a whole to stand up and say, it's time for us to be paid correctly with the money you're going to save in time that I'm not going to be spending writing all this shit up and making decisions and all the other things in between. I firmly believe this. It is an opportunity to utilize this as a platform to level set, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about losing jobs across the board, but we're not talking about why do they have to be lost? Is that because that income has to go somewhere else? Right? Maybe we're not looking at where profits should go when they should be reinvested into the people that are giving the business an opportunity to run.
Yeah.
Right? And you're only as good as your front door. Otherwise, nobody's coming in.
I mean,
that was good.
Ooh, save that one.
I will.
Ding. I mean, we joke about turning off the lights. That'd be nice every now and again. Just be like, can we just turn off the lights and shut off the
Couldn't do it if your life depended on it. Wouldn't do it. Want to do it. Best jokes ever, like Deadpool level shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
But first person trips on the curb out there, everybody is running out the door that is not busy. To a certain degree. You know what I mean? Those that see it would jump up and run to it. You wouldn't be able to keep that door closed with the lights off. Not even in a second. You're not even for 1 second. And that's why you deserve to be compensated with time and money, right? Time for recovery.
Yeah.
Because you're not very intuitive if you're sweating and you're on day, 364 of 365, because you're trying to get all that cool overtime that you get in order to live at the level to survive.
Yes.
Bullshit.
Especially in Canada.
I see. I can't speak to Canada, but it sounds like America in that regard can't get by on what we're making now. But yet the companies and the industries get bigger. That's a problem.
It's one of those things,
We're
right? Like, how do we gotta do something. Something's got to give.
So how do you decide to write a book about intuition in nursing?
Well, first you go through a global pandemic, and then you become horrifically sleep deprived because you're staying up all day with your kids because they don't have school and there's no daycare. And then you go to work all night, and then you stay up all day, and then you come home and go to work again. And so in that state, the fear and the depression and the anxiety and all that comes right up. And you start thinking about, if I don't survive this, how am I going to explain to my kids why I chose to continue to work during all of this? How do you do that? So I decided to start writing down all of my really, really good stories about the times that I helped, the things that I did, how I was making a difference kind of thing. And of course, with the good, then comes the overwhelming bad. Mm-hmm. So going back into patient losses and mistakes that I'd made and bullying scenarios that I'd pushed way back. And, going through it, and the thread that ran through them all was a sense of intuition and trusting my gut. And sometimes I was trusting my gut, but didn't know why. Sometimes the docs listened, sometimes they didn't. But in growing and talking about it more, the more I talked about it, the more everybody else at work was talking about it. And then it's like, oh no, we do that too. And we do that too. And then you're like, okay, well, let me talk to the docs. If I come to you and I say, I just don't know about this patient, could you just come look at them? The good docs listen and they come and look at the patient. Even if I'm wrong, even if somebody doing this is wrong or I'm wrong, the doc seeing that patient and laying another set of eyes on them is still going to improve patient outcomes.
You called in red lenses because you only had green, but you thought there was another color underneath.
Yeah.
I like to simplify things.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really how it works. You have to give things a proper investigation, right? And to not trust the only tool that's actually real, and that is your intuition or your own perception, right? And given the opportunity, I'm sure you would agree, if you had a proper work cycle and were given the opportunity to do self-care and things like that, more and more people could probably benefit from this situation and realize that they are capable of this, given the proper opportunities to foster what it is to. You're not necessarily going to hit a diagnosis on the head, but you're all going to hit a lie every time. And not just the lie that's being told to you because I want Oxycontin or something like that. I'm talking about the lie that doesn't want to tell you that I have a severe eating disorder, even though I'm not overweight. And I'm pretty sure that I've been scared of having a heart attack for the last 10 years because in the back of my mind, that's what I do. Or maybe I'm a smoker, but I don't want you to know I smoke because I'm embarrassed of it. And you're not going to be able to see that I'm in congenital heart failure or whatever the fuck it is. Or, you're in heart failure. COPD, all these things. But if you're allowed to sit in that chair without the background noise, right, and actually have that empathetic conversation with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And if the people coming through the front door knew that was what was waiting for them, wouldn't it make it a lot easier across the board?
I'd hate to put on another expectation of nurses, but I mean, we all can do it. It's whether or not
it's not just nurses.
No, it is everybody. Like truly, it is everybody. I mean, women alone. How many times have you gone into a scenario where you're going like, nope, I got to get the hell out of this. I got to get out of this house. I got to get out of this relationship. I don't like this person. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but my gut is screaming at me that I need to go.
We all know this. Like, I've been in so many situations. As soon as I walked in the door, I was like, I should not be here. And that's not because I see some shenanigans going on. You just know, right? People talk about it in retrospect all the time. I knew I shouldn't have. That's a huge thing that people say. I knew I shouldn't have. Of course you did, right? You're aware. You're just not trusting your awareness. You're using your lenses. See, awareness has the beauty, the intuition has the beauty of bypassing colored lenses, right? Yeah. It may only be an inkling and it may not always be right, but 9 times out of 10, it's something a little bit greater or a little bit deeper that gets the right set of eyes on it, right? It sounds like to me, you're preaching to the people, not preaching, but you're sharing with your family, your nursing family, what you've discovered when harnessed correctly will relieve them a lot of stress and allow them probably some independence and strength in their own roles, right?
Yeah.
To be able to drive the scenario.
Sorry.
It's the Tragedy Academy. It doesn't matter.
This is it's work. Of course it's work. That's the second time they've called today. Apparently, I'm going to guess.
You got to come in early or something wasn't done yesterday.
No. Oh, we're probably too short on night shift tonight.
That's definitely one. Never 100%. Answer your phone 2 hours before the beginning of a shift.
Wow, so it's 2:00 here. So shift is at 7, but I'm like,
it's a window. That's a my stomach hurts window. Right? Oh, I'm not going to be able to make it. My stomach hurts.
Why? Because you're supposed to call in, Well, it's a little different with nights. It seems like people don't call in nearly as early for nights, even though
No.
you're not coming in.
It's when they get back from Target and realize they're not going to get a nap. Tell me I'm not wrong.
Naps are key.
You get it every now and then, because there is only so much tinfoil you can put on your windows before you go insane and start making hats out of it, right? Because you got to try to break that sleep cycle. That's another factor. There's not enough sleep in emergency services, right? Sleep is so important.
Or medical services.
Yeah,
medical services alone.
You need sleep to function. Sleep deprivation is one of the worst things for mental health. I don't want a third day nurse on rotation. I don't want third day, like you've been on, mids for this long. I want the one that comes in looking like they just had like a manicure off their 3 days off, right?
We've got a pension for it's this weird thing where, all the newer nurses, a lot of them come in, and because they don't have kids and they're fresh, they're super empathetic and all this, they come in, they're all made up. They've got their cute little fitted scrubs. And here I am walking like a rat that's come out of the dumpster going like, what's up? What's going on?
Oh, you look so fresh and unjaded. I know how that goes, but that's also a level of bullying.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of bullying that happens in that scenario, in the right situation, where someone just for simply starting their career is in a position of being bullied by someone who likes to take out their frustrations on the person that has the least ability to come back at them.
And no coping mechanisms already in place.
No, this is slapping a child.
Been there.
Did you slap children?
Been there, done that.
I was joking.
No, but seriously, 5 years worth of my first job and just being
you mentioned that
horrifically bullied. And just awful.
But I would argue that it needed to happen for you to have the lenses now to be able to write a book to help, the people in your field with you, right? Yeah. The men and women that get up every day, or the people that get up every day and fulfill these roles, right? Yeah. Need voices for themselves, because maybe they don't even have the time to be a voice. Maybe they don't have the time to even create something or have the ability at all, just at all, and it requires the right set of intersections in life to come to the position where you put pen to paper. So it's your time. What do you want to tell these nurses?
You're not alone. You are not alone. You are coming into a field that has grown by leaps and bounds in the last 5, 10, 15 years. The expectations are 100% different than they were 20 years ago. Please be gentle with yourself, because the learning curve is straight up. There is no amount of nursing school that can prepare you for carrying your own license and caring for people. There's just no way to do it until you're in it. If you're struggling, please reach out. Take the medications if you need to. Get the therapy. Have a backup therapist in case your first therapist is busy.
Damn right. I got a whole team, man, like the Avengers.
Listen.
the mental health Avengers.
The book was started as a trauma journal. And so, honest to God, my therapist now, she's like, is that book done yet? I'm like, oh, it's finally coming out. We're getting there. And, if I ever need a new therapist, here's volume 1 of why I'm the way I am.
Ugh, God, you come with homework.
Yeah. Right?
I don't want you.
The tables turned.
Yeah. Go read a book. So
it's semi-interesting. It's cool. It's fun.
So you're talking to nurses today. But we're also living in a nurse shortage and crisis post-pandemic because of reasons that we've discussed. Burnout, lack of pay, time off, empathy, ability to move up, whatever it could be, right? How do you get those nurses to listen to this and maybe come back? Because they're needed. They really are, and they come with that unique set of skills. And even being burnt out, if you're not supposed to come back, you're not supposed to come back. But I can tell you, if you were called to be a nurse, I want you back. I want the one that's called to be that. right? And I think everybody could say that. They want the ones that feel called to do that, and they may not be there now. And I can damn sure tell you, if they're called to do that, they're not fulfilled where they are now.
Yeah.
Tell them why they should come back.
Don't do it.
Jesus, man. Why did I even bother? No, I'm kidding.
No. Hear me out. If you need to step away, please create that boundary.
100%.
Step away. Take care of you first. Absolutely. If you want to come back, if you are feeling like this, maybe you've had some time off, you've had some time to reflect, you want to give it a go again, it is going to be hard coming back. Absolutely. Because, you've had that time off. And if you've only been in it a few years before, walking away, the muscle memory that a lot of us have isn't quite there as much. So, if you're always welcome, you will still always be a nurse. I need you to realize that being a nurse shouldn't be your whole personality. I need you to realize that you were a person first, and then nurse is a job. Sorry to say, nurse is a job. It's a very in-depth, caring, wraparound profession that encompasses a lot, but it is a job. If you were to die on shift, your obit would be posted after the job, the job ad. Your manager would be coming to your funeral, looking in the casket, going like, "I can't believe you left us short-staffed today." Just know that it is not everything.
So
and it shouldn't be.
I'm going to point out something.
Okay.
Right. A worst PSA for coming back, first of all.
Don't feel guilted into coming back.
But
please.
Let's say that you hate the sun, right?
Okay.
Do you yell at it every day for coming up? No, because it's always going to come up. You would get tired of yelling at it, right? It would just be what it is, right? The new norm, a baseline, if you will. People have to do it with pain management all the time. Your life now is your new 100% is 70%. Embrace it. It's 100% of you now, right? Same thing with the role. You come in, you've left your calling, you're sitting at home, you are burnt out, you are spent, you've spent the time working on yourself, you start a mental health practice where you're actually understanding who you are and why you reacted the way you did in these situations, because it's always reacted, right? Because it's a choice to feel anything at any given moment, right? We don't like to accept that. So once you can understand yourself and you get that opportunity to look back at this field, right? I believe it is a privilege to work in a profession that helps humans maintain their life on this earth.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, I'm not saying you forgot that, right? Or anybody's forgotten that. But it is a fact.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that there's reward in seeing somebody get better despite themselves. Remember, despite themselves. Because if you go in knowing that they're going to look at you like you have shit on your face, right? But you're going to diagnose the fuck out of them. You're going to get them all through their treatment. You're going to kick ass, right? Despite they look at you like a pig staring at a wristwatch every time you give them some kind of directive, right? You're going to go, this is my fucked up car that I'm going to rebuild today. It looks this way right now. But 9 times out of 10, if you put 100% of your commitment into it and you already know your baseline, what's going to happen when it's all said and done? You're going to be able to say, I treated them. I did what they wouldn't do for themselves or couldn't do for themselves or were unwilling to, right? We're the gatekeepers of heaven and hell, right? You really are. That's a position that people should not take lightly. To be the ones at the worst crossroads of so many lives, right? Nobody comes to the hospital for a good thing except for maybe a newborn, right?
True story.
Right?
Yeah.
So I just believe that there's a reason why people are called to those professions. And I think that we should compensate them for their sacrifice and the burden that they know they're already going to do.
Yeah. It's coming to terms with it, right? Like, because again, nursing school, it's all, oh, you're going to save lives. You're going to be so great. And then real life hits you and you're like, I can't save everybody. Like, that's just not part of the deal, because
but they didn't
there
say
are
that.
things out of my control.
But they didn't say that. They said you were going to save lives.
Nursing schools.
But they said you were going to save lives. They just didn't focus on the negative, right? Because there are saved lives. How many lives have you saved? Countless, right? Countless.
Couldn't even guesstimate.
So I would say this: we are what we focus on, right? So my, suggestion of the day is, if we are what we focus on, I think we should focus for at least a short amount of time to see how it makes us feel on things to be grateful for in the role, right? And simply let the others just exist for a little while, right? Just for a little while, and walk around and say what we're grateful for and why it's a privilege. And no matter what role you are, because you're benefiting somebody else. I don't care if you're making fucking tile, right? I'm not slipping because you put the fucking right shit in the mix, right? Yep. There's something. Your contribution matters, right? And no matter what role it is, but in this particular case, walk around and just say, be grateful for the opportunity, but also for the chance to see people turn a corner.
Yeah.
Right? That's renewed vigor for life in a situation where you thought that you were done.
Yeah.
That's witnessing something amazing, miracles on the daily.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody has said something that you've done was a miracle. At some point in time, they've walked away and said that was a miraculous situation.
Yeah.
Right? That's something you should feel. It doesn't have to be said, but know that you were somebody's miracle. That's important. It's so important to know that. All right? We need people that are called to do this role. I appreciate you more than you could ever know, right? For making the sacrifice, riding the rock, being that gatekeeper, telling people they're worth staying, right?
Yeah.
Because you see so many different things, right? But just know that's a benchmark baseline that is going to be there forever. Just know that going in, but you don't have to yell at the sun for coming up every day. Right?
Fair.
I appreciate you so much. Tell people when the book comes out, where they can find it, where they can find you, and you're invited back anytime.
Thank you. So book is out October 29th. I'm about to bawl, but I'm trying not to.
I was too. I was getting a little teared up, but I mean that.
So, and that's why I feel it, right? So
there you go.
There you go. Book is out October 29th. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at ernurse.jen, Jenn. You can find me on Amazon, Jennifer A. Johnson, RN. Will link you to all my books and my journals and all the other support.
Ken Johnson, great alliteration.
Well, the married name. I had to go with Jennifer A. Johnson, RN, just so that you'd be able to find me on on Amazon, because there's so many of us. So, but yeah, the website's RX for Growth, so prescriptionforgrowth.com. And reach out if you need anything, because we're all in this together. And if you need a hand getting back, if you need a hand to pivot a little, there's no shame in pivoting. There are a million jobs that nurses fill. And the key is just
even
to find
in the corporate world. My wife runs a disability claims unit.
Ooh.
Need nurses every day. Need lenses that are only worn by nurses to filter what's correct, what's not. Right?
Yes.
There is a lot of experience gained that you can put to use in so many different ways.
Yeah. It's It's just find your niche, and not everybody's niche is bedside, and that's okay. Don't think that nursing is just bedside. There are so many avenues that you just sometimes you need to explore a little bit.
Shadow.
Sorry?
Shadow.
Yeah.
All day long, dude. Pick them out. Run around with them. Don't warn them. Just show up. Because nobody tells somebody they can't shadow with them when they have big puppy dog eyes and excitement about what they do. People are always excited to talk about themselves. Bingo.
And an extra set of hands.
Pick one a month, one a week, whatever. Right? And then get to try it. I don't know which ice cream I like if I don't try all the flavors. Yes. Except
if
for
you're
a few.
ADHD.
I don't do coconut.
Tiger stripes. Ugh.
Coconut.
If you're undiagnosed ADHD, or if you're diagnosed ADHD, chances are you will fit very well into an ER. If you're OCD, chances are with a little mix of ADHD, ICU.
That too.
If you are like type A personality, everything has to be following the borders. OR, 100%.
There you go.
If you find more benefit in talking and building relationships with your client than just slapping a Band-Aid on with medication, sometimes that's psych. Everybody has got a superpower. Figure out your superpower and where it fits into the mix.
It's under your masks.
Yes.
Wear your Superman or woman S with pride, even if it looks like a fucking ampersand or something. I don't care. Like, whatever your hero punctuation or letter is, wear it with pride. Like, mine's a big old zero. Like,
whatever.
I have like a treble clef. It makes no sense. They're like, what's this guy here to do?
Huh?
Is he directing us in song?
I don't understand.
What does Captain Treble Clef do? All right, everybody out there listening, we're finishing with that. I need you to tell me, email me, text me, what does Captain Treble Clef do? I appreciate you so much, Jen. And remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning.